Hey, Ariel here. It's been a minute. Um, Came outside. I'm doing a little wash, and I decided I killed two birds with one stone, so to speak. My glasses are kind of crooked. You have to excuse me. I'll take them off. But I need them to see how to work my phone and my camera and whatnot. So last month, I was in a kind of funk. And I wasn't understanding why I wasn't getting past a certain point, or I was trying to get into my mode of not meditation, but manifestation, and I couldn't understand what my block was, or where it was stemming from, or how do I fix it, and things of that nature. So basically, what I did was I prayed about it, and then I meditated. And then after a good night of sleep or rest, I woke up with the epiphany after a dream. In the dream, I was sitting and I was meditating. So I was sitting and I was meditating, and I was at some point of the during meditation, I started to what they call levitate. So I was like, this is odd, okay, whatever. And I also saw rays of light come from what's considered your third eye. I saw rays of light come from my third eye. And in each ray of light, I saw someone from my life, and it helped me understand. And in that moment, like instantaneously, I understood what each person was in my life for. But somehow my father was kind of like guiding me through this. My earthly father was kind of like guiding me through this epiphany or this vision as I'm having it, as I'm doing this during meditation. And he was like, but that's not the important part. That's not why you're here. And he kind of was like, you got to put that to the back. That goes to the back. This over here, which was stuff on, I saw myself as a little kid and that whole dynamic with my mother and myself. And he let me understand that a lot of the reason why I was stuck or so stuck for such a long time was that I have a fear of abandonment. So because of the fear of abandonment, I hold on to things too long that I should probably let go of and go on and allow myself to grow and move on to the next thing or the next level that'll help me out more. So I came to that epiphany that then he just kind of showed me in the dream where my life paralleled his life at one point, that he was doing the same things, and I was like caught up in like this loop that I was doing the same thing, and he wanted me to understand that that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Like, let it go. Feel the emotion. Feel the emotion. You have to feel the emotion. Stop stuffing. Stop ignoring. And stop being distracted. Feel the emotion. See the emotion. Understand where the emotion came from and move on from it. Just let it go. Just go. Let it be. There's greater for you. I have to say, you would think I would get it within the dream, but I didn't get it within the dream. I was kind of like, well, piddly-poo. Like, you mean to tell me everything has been in my head, or I got myself stuck in my head just now? Like, that was all me being stuck in my head? Like, what? I'm smarter than that, I thought. And I don't know. It's just kind of asking myself questions now when I do things. Where is it coming from? Where am I being motivated from? Is it out of this? Is it out of that? Is this a part of my need to control? Is this a part of my loneliness inside that I don't want to, is it a fear of abandonment that I don't walk away from something that maybe doesn't make me the happiest, but I understand it. I'm no longer giving myself a pass on that. So I'm making myself come outside my box. I might not be doing it as fast as everyone else. I might not be doing it as fast as even I want to do it, but I'm still making those strides, and I'm trying to push myself and make myself do more things, but at the same time remain responsible, because there's so many responsibilities that I have still as a mom and for myself as well, so just trying to relax and be and learn this new me thing, and understanding more about my body and my vibrations, and how to lower or raise my vibrations. Sometimes you do want to lower them, but sometimes you want to raise them. Mostly you want to raise them. I don't know. It's just feeling the need to be free. Just feeling the need to be free in the here and the now. Just get what lessons I'm supposed to get, and then just move on, and not look or judge myself compared to others outside of me. Just try to do it in an expedient manner for me and make it work for me. Yeah, but that was just something, it was just something that was very dumbfounding for me. It was like, it cleared up a lot of family stuff, because it's like I kept getting that nudge. I could hear my father say, call your mother, call your mother, call your mother, call your mother. Have you called your mother yet? Call your mother, call your mother, call your mother. And I didn't really want to call her, because we don't have the best, I'm sorry, Mommy, if you see this, but we don't have the best of rapport with one another. So sometimes I'm a little afraid to speak with her. But this particular day, I had been in a sister circle, and we did some cleansing work on our energies, and just words of affirmation, and building one another up. Thank you so much. I can't think of the name right now, but the goddess Rose Circle. Y'all know who y'all are. It was beautiful. It was beautiful, and this happened all of this transpired like within 3 days of that cleansing, and that night of sisterhood, of being there and feeling love from sisters. And I called my mother. She answered. Usually she's not home, or she's doing whatever she does. She's a very active woman. I didn't want to call her too, because she's in her second phase of life. She found her someone special to her, and she wants to get married again. So for her grown children, I think her grown children acted up more than her grandchildren did. And we were all kind of like, no, oh my gosh, Mommy, no. So I was afraid of what I would hear, or afraid of having to make up reasons, or try to get out of going to a wedding that I didn't necessarily want to go to, but I didn't want to hurt my mother's feelings by saying, no, I'm not going to your wedding. During this conversation, the most amazing thing happened. Basically, she was affirmed from she was like basically freed from some old emotional traumas between her and my father, and I was freed from some emotional traumas because we shared on that. Now, I'm not going to say specifically what we talked about, but it's just a thing of, okay, when I was born, my mother and my father came from my mother was a devout Pentecostal, her family, And my father was very Southern Baptist, and it'll rain down hellfire and brimstone and you will die, okay? So that's the kind of thing I grew up with between the two. You understand, the two families. So it sets about this fear, I want to say. It sets about this crazy fear when it comes to religion, because I've never been able to understand religion. It makes no sense to me, you know? So I have always been very religious and spiritual. I mean, not religious. I've always been very spiritual, but the religious thing just evades me, and I don't care that I don't understand it any longer. I'm sorry, something dripped on me. I'm hoping it was tree sap. Ew. But anyways, so growing up like that, that's what I was around. So it kind of scopes you in some ways, and it limits you in some ways, and it puts all this fear in you for whatever reason. So we were talking, and I was talking to her, and I was telling her, you know, there were some things my dad had said to me when I was younger, because I had asked him pressing questions like, you know, why were you two never together? Why did you never get married? Da 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 da. Well, then fast forward when I was about 21 or 25, I can't remember right now for some reason, but my father passed away. I believe it was 25 because my son was 4, I think it was. My son was 4 at the time. And anywho, when my dad passed away, I kind of stopped talking to people, because I didn't want to hear. I think of death quite differently than everyone else in my family, because I grew up with my grandparents for a large chunk of my life. So my grandfather had certain practices and certain belief systems, and that's what I believed as well. I believed that energy is forever, and that when you die, that corpse that they put into the ground, no disrespect to anyone, but that corpse that they put in the ground, that's not you. That's your avatar. That's your body that you walk with and you live life through, that can keep you and sustain you for a very long time if you take care of it correctly. But for the most part, I just believe that he wasn't in his grave per se. You know what I'm saying? So I was going to school at the time, trying to attain my first degree at the time, and I kind of checked out. And when I say I checked out, I mean I was doing everything. I was on autopilot, doing everything that was expected of me, maintaining my grades in school, taking care of my son at the time. I only had one at the time, my oldest son, and trying to make life work, such as it was for me. And so I didn't allow myself time to even process the fact that your earthly father or your earthly dad, because he was my daddy, he will forever be my daddy, he was my daddy. So I never ever once called him father, father, I need your help with this. We didn't have that kind of relationship. It wasn't father. If I had called my dad father, he would have been like, girl, really? But anyways, I heard it when my mother told me, and my family, oh my goodness, they will make a letter opening as painful as possible, because they gotta walk you around it, ask you about the dog, tell you about the clouds today, tell you about the neighbor Rose across the street and what she did and what she didn't do today and how she annoys me and all of this. So I knew it was something traumatic, and because I could tell by the way my mother kept well, I just want you to sit down. Are you home? Are you going to be okay? okay, is BJ there? Is, what's going on? Do you have someone there that can console you? And I'm like, tell me already. So she basically told me, well, your daddy passed, he's no longer in the land of the living. And, she just kept talking, and I really don't remember what she said after that, really, other than she just kept calling me, hey, do you want to come home and just be for maybe a couple weeks and till you get your legs back and you can, continue on with life or whatever. And I was just kind of like, no, I don't know. Why would I need to do that? And she was like, well, I know you were close with your dad, and I just want to be there for you. With me, immediately when there's something to do with someone I hold near and dear to my heart, and if I don't have that rapport with you, I immediately shut down. It's like the Iron Curtain. Poof. Like, no, I'm not talking to you. It's not personal, but it was like the best thing I can say was a defense mechanism back in the day, and I'm trying to get out of it, even though now I feel the need sometimes to walk away from things I don't understand, but I'm trying to force myself to understand before walking away. And then if I need to walk away, because a lot of people don't understand that. They think, okay, you're running from them, or they're not. No, I need a clear head, because I need to make clear, conscious decisions that make sense. But before you're given the tools of life, if you don't have the correct tools of life to work with, you manufacture your own, So my thing was getting away from everybody and thinking. So that's what I would do. But in this case, I didn't do that. I kind of just stopped answering the phone and the door. I did everything I was supposed to do, like as far as my life, but my mother just kind of was like, no, this is, she thank God, thank the Most High above, she did not take no for an answer. It's probably one of the few times that I allowed myself to be vulnerable with her, because she came to my house. Excuse me, sorry for the noise. She came to my house. She came to my home, and she took her grandson, and she said, she sat me down and she looked at me and she said, you just lost your father. You just lost a part of yourself. I need you to be in that moment and to feel that and make that make sense to you. You need to make it make sense to you, because I know you. And I know if you don't go and you don't say goodbye to your dad, it doesn't matter what you got going on with school. It doesn't matter how many degrees you get after this or before this. None of that will matter. You'll always go back to the time that your dad died and you were not there. So I need you to kind of, I need you to just call them and say, frig it. I'm just not going to be here for the next 2 weeks. I'm not going to be here. And I was like, well, I need time for this. I need to make allowances, and I need to find out what work I need to do before I leave, and find out what I need to send them while I'm gone. And she was like, no, you're just going to take the time off. So that's what I did. I just took the time from school at the time. And I'm so happy I listened to my mother. Probably the only time I listened to your mommy. But not really, kind of. But, so, and I was like, what about my apartment? She's like, it'll be fine, trust me. So, my mother made the arrangements. We all took a family trip, of which I thought we were all going to kill each other, but it was all good. We took a family trip up to where I'm from, which is in Florida. And I was there with my dad's side of the family. At first, we went to see my mother's side of the family, which is I've never really hung out with a lot of people on my mother's side of the family, so I know a few cousins and things of that nature, but I don't know like the whole experience of, because whenever my sisters and brothers were doing that, I was off to some development camp or young leaders of whatever doing different things than my family was doing, which is kind of crazy, but that's how I was thinking my life was on a whole nother train at one point. It was on a whole nother beeline for something else, and then walked the truth, and then I did a total U-turn of what I thought I would be or where I thought I was going. So, but anywho, we get there, and I'm having fun with my mother's sister, who was one of my favorite aunts. I'm sorry, I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but Aunt Leanne was one of those people who was boisterous, and she was colorful, and man, that lady could cuss like a sailor. Let me tell you, okay? And then she had a husband. His name was Pierre, and he was funny too because he's loud and flamboyant as my aunt was. He was that quiet, and he used to crack me up. And I have a very colorful family. He used to crack me up because when she would get going, then he would get going in French and Creole, and then I'd be like, okay, do I need to leave, or what's going on here? Is it safe to be here right now? So we get there, and they have a whole big family feast prepared and everything. So I'm getting to know cousins. You know, you do your rounds and you do your hugs and all this stuff, and talk about, you know, when you're growing up and all this stuff, and talk about your grandparents and what, you know, and all that stuff. So that was the first day. And then that night, my Aunt Leanne was like, well, you know, you don't really hang around the family much, even though, you know, you do know that you were with us, like when you were first born, your mother was here with us and all of that. And I was like, I kind of know the stories. Mom doesn't really delve into her family stories that much. Well, anyway, my Aunt Leanne said, you know, I need to talk to you because I got something heavy on my heart, and I need to tell you. I need you to know this because I think that's the problem with your relationship with your mother. I need you to understand this. I need you to know this. So she pulled me to the side, and she said, what do you know about your daddy? And I said, he's my daddy. I don't know what you want. What are you looking for? I was like, that's where I grew up, so I know a lot more about my dad than I know about my mom. But so she was just telling me, she said, well, I got a story to tell you, and I hope you don't hate me after I'm done. And I was kind of like, okay, this is getting really, really weird, you know, because you're like, what kind of family dirt is she going to spill out now? I don't know if I'm ready. And so she teared up and started crying. And back in those days, I was kind of weird with the touchy-feely thing. So I'd be like, woo-woo, woo-woo-woo-woo, there, Pierre, don't cry, you're woo-woo. And I was kind of like, okay, this is getting uncomfortable. And she was like, you know, I really need to tell you, when your mother was pregnant with you, your dad did come and ask for her hand in marriage. And I told him no, absolutely not. And I was like, okay, I don't understand. She's like, well, I feel so bad. And by this time, she's like totally crying. And I'm really uncomfortable at this point because I'm just kind of like, this is supposed to be a happy trip or to get me out of my doldrum. And she's like, well, I didn't think he was serious about my sister, and I didn't think he was going to take care of her, and I didn't know if he was being real or fake, because, you know, men this, men that. And I kind of looked at her. I said, okay, I forgive you. And she said, no, I want you to forgive your mom too, because your mother, it's not your mother's fault. It's like I said no. I'm sure your mother would have married your dad. So I wasn't thinking then, you know what I mean? It didn't make sense then. But then I go to my my father's side of the family, and we're talking and we're laughing, and it's conjovial and it's easy, because I mean, when you lived around people for the majority of your life, you kind of know them, and you know how they move, and it's okay, and it's all good in the hood. But when I got there, and I slept in my daddy's room. And I remember getting up that morning. My uncle got my son up, and he was like, "Oh my God, he looks just like your daddy. Looks like your daddy. Gosh, he looks like your daddy." And I was like, "I know, I wish Dad could have, I wish they could have had that relationship." And he did ask me to move there to get that father-daughter time, because he knew he was on his chapter of turning the page. And at the time, I couldn't see how it would help, or how I could make my life move my life from where I was to there. And I wish he would have tried a little harder, because I was about to cave in. I really was. I don't know, it might have been different now. Things might have been a lot different. But anyway, I step into the room, and I walk into the room, and I'm sorry, I'm trying not to get emotional. I walk into the room, and I'm standing there in the room, and all of a sudden the room was just like, it got cool, not cold, like cool, pleasantly cool. And I remember thinking of this one specific day when I was with my dad, and I was holding his hand, and I would not let go of his hand that whole day. And I remember thinking, dang, like, you're really physically gone. Like, we'll never hold hands again. And I remember feeling like a hand on my right shoulder, and I remember saying, "Daddy, I'm not ready. Dad, I'll lose it. I'll lose everything. I'll just totally lose it emotionally if I see you. I can't see you. I have to stay strong, and I can't see you, because if I see you, I'll lose it." And I turned around, and I didn't see him, but I felt his presence. So and it was almost like a hug, like, you're going to be good. You're going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. And I remember thinking, like, dang, because my dad was my go-to. My dad was my go-to person, because he understood me. And we used to make jokes about, like, him, myself, my dad, my grandfather, and my uncle, like we were peas in a pod, like we just got each other. We all just got each other. It made sense. We made sense to one another. And I was like, shoot, like, my dad's gone. And I remember my mother ended up coming later on and everything, after she cleared up things with her family or whatever. And I remember being so angry at her. And I really don't know where the emotions came from at the time. And I said to her, I'm a grown woman, and I really need to get a hold of my feelings. And she said, what do you mean? She's like, you're not going to cry? Like, you're not going to... She's like, you haven't cried. You haven't reacted. Like, you've been like this businesswoman. Like, yeah, we're going to go do this, and then we're going to go do that. And then she was like, what is going on? Like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And I told her about my experience in the room. And she's like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And my dad and my grandfather, I'm saying this right now because I can almost smell it. My dad and my grandfather used to always wear this Old Spice. I know it's hokey, but they always wore it. So whenever I would smell Old Spice, it would always put me in a happy mood because my granddad and my father were just like conjovial people all the time. Like maybe with me, like I saw them when they were happy and smiling and stuff, but most of the time with everyone else, they were like, you know, poker face. But so I remember thinking, like, I gotta be strong. I didn't really want to show emotion to others. I didn't want to feel like, we can get her now. She's weak. Let's get her. But that's even with my mother, and that's really weird because I've always felt like I've had to be strong for everyone in my family. Because, like, I don't know, for most of the time, it's just how it is because most of them are just like, I don't know, just not, they can't take certain things or certain thoughts or certain words or whatever. The communication's not that great on that side with my mother and my siblings. With some of my siblings, I'm great, but with others, not so good. And I strive. But like at this point, we're all adults, so it's like we gotta decide how we're gonna, be as adults and not, like, you're not gonna get coddled, basically. Like, if you're an adult, you don't get coddled. That's just what it is. But yeah, so that was my experience. And then on the phone with my mother last month, it was like, she was like, she never knew. I told her what my aunt had shared with me. She never knew that my dad came to ask my aunt to sign the paperwork for them to get married. And it all came about from a phone conversation. Like, I was like, why didn't you and Dad ever get married? Because up until the day that he died, he was calling her back and forth. And they would talk on the phone for long periods of time and laugh. I mean, big belly laugh. And my mother, that's not my mom. She's very grumpy a bit, somewhat. I don't want to say grumpy, but non-conjovial. But that man would make her smile from ear to ear, and it was just like, oh my gosh, y'all are gross. Like, well, if y'all gonna flirt, can I get a brother or sister out of the deal? But that never happened. It was just me. I was the only child between the two of them, which is amazing with the way that they were with each other. I don't understand that, but okay. But but when she told me, she said, well, I wanted to marry your dad. I would have married your daddy. And I was like, so why didn't y'all stay together? And then she said, he wasn't there when I had you. And back then, with the age difference that they had going on, he really couldn't be there because the age difference. And they weren't married. And he didn't want things to happen to me. He didn't know about her age until later on after the pregnancy. And it's really strange. It's that strange thing in a family that keeps the gift that keeps on giving because nobody talks